Yo, this is Mickey D. Mao, and this is my Codename Kiss Next Door explained of Operation P.O.O.L. This episode is gonna be a long one, so I might as well just get into it. So the episode begins with number 4 answering the door to numbers 2, 3, and 5, who excitedly run through the house claiming pool party, when number 4 follows them in a disappointed manner. His father asks him about his new pool, to which number 4 responds to him by reminding him that he can't swim, only for his father to leave the house to a second job. As number 4 is complaining about not going to the beach, number 1 appears and apologizes for being late due to the fact that his girlfriend Lizzie couldn't decide on what to wear to the pool party. As Lizzie walked to the other side, her reflection in the pool comes to life and drags her under the water. As Nigel immediately dives in to save her, once he reaches the bottom, he seemingly spots Lizzie and chases after her, only to then come across a treehouse similar to Sector V's, but with D and K instead of K and D, and confronts Lizzie, but Nigel quickly realizes that this is not Lizzie and is plunged into the treehouse. Later, Nigel awakens and discovers himself in chains and struggles to get free. When Lizzie confronts him and questions him about how he knew he wasn't his girlfriend, to which Nigel responds by noting her eyes and claiming that the real Lizzie is not a jerk. Then he demands to know where Lizzie is and is greeted by the real Lizzie falling out of the doorway, who then runs to him. After Lizzie questions him on where they are, Nigel suggests that Lizzie's ex-boyfriend should explain. After the reluctant statement about the Supreme Leader, a different Nigel appears and the real Nigel deducts that the other Nigel is negative number 1 and that number 4's pool opened a portal to an upside down world. Negative number 1 briefly explains what their world is like and declares that they are the destructive, nefarious kids, as known as DNK. After a brief verbal scuffle, Easel pulls out a splattle, S-P-L-A-T-T-L-E, and is about to torture Nigel and Lizzie, but then the little traitors dudes from Children's Defense bust in to save Nigel and Lizzie during the scuffle. Lizzie hits negative number 1 with the splattle and knocks out his tooth before escaping. Once negative number 1 and Easel recover, they are contacted by the Supreme Leader and are ordered to continue their plan, or they'll be sent to the broccoli mines. Meanwhile, while running with the little traitor dudes for Children's Defense, Nigel and Lizzie witness the atrocities of this new world, with kids doing constant work and the adults being the lazy ones. The group enters the LTDFCD's mansion, which is really an RV, and call out their dad, who Nigel and Lizzie are frightened due to the silhouette and believe him to be father, only for a normal looking man to come out. Nigel asks what happened to this world, and Dad explains that it was the DNK who caused this in the first place. Apparently they despise other children so much that they forced the children to do all the work while their parents sat around doing nothing and demanding bigger allowances. As the LTDFCDs tell them that they need to get back to their world before it's too late, immediately afterwards the mansion is under attack by the DNK members. The LTDFCD help Nigel and Lizzie escape before battling the DNK. After escaping from the RV, Nigel and Lizzie are confronted by negative number 86 and are about to be arrested, but Nigel tells Lizzie to follow his lead and pretends to be negative number 1 and acts like he's angry about being interrupted while working for the Supreme Leader. After some hesitation, negative number 86 lets them go and orders her squad to stand down. After losing sight of them, Nigel and Lizzie run back to the pool and are about to jump back in, but then are presumably attacked by something before emerging from the water. Nigel is revealed to have a missing tooth before the transmission cuts off. Once the transmission continues, Nigel attempts to push number 4 into the water before the others put a stop to it, knowing that Wally can't swim. Nigel and Wally head back to the tree house after some weird moments not long after. Hoagie, Abigail, and Kooky are dragged underwater with their negative selves arriving at their place. In the treehouse, negative number 1, Easel, and Wally, under the impression that they are the real versions, are taking apart one of Hoagie's machines, and then the others appear. But Wally then realizes that his commanders are not who he's been working with. And when he looks into negative number 3's eyes, and negative number 3 offers number 4 a deal, at that point he refuses to help the DNK because he is loyal to the kids next door and will never betray his teammates. Disgusted by them, Wally punches the evil girl away, then proceeds to fight the rest of the DNK single-handedly as they heard screaming from the shaken treehouse. Meanwhile, in the other world, the positive versions of the kids are confronted by negative number 4, the main leader of the DNK and the one responsible for the current outcome of their world. After making fun of negative number 4's goatee, the Supreme Leader declares that the K&D will fight until one is left standing to be his bodyguard. However, they refuse to fight and are sentenced to the broccoli mines. While being transported, Nigel attempts to convince negative number 86 to switch sides, but then the scene cuts away before we are shown the result. Meanwhile, negative number 4 is preparing to jump into the pool and enter the real world, but his DNK operative surface all battered and beaten by Wally, who gives himself the courage to jump into the pool and enter the upside down world to confront his opposite self. While negative number 4 points out how he is outnumbered by his troops, Wally declares that his other self is a coward, hiding behind his troops and pointing out how his other self is hiding behind bullies, something the real number 4 wouldn't do. Just as negative number 4's troops are about to fire, negative number 86 comes in with the real K&D, including Lizzie, and gives a short speech about how she is sick of their current lifestyle and wishes to be her own person, which inspires the other D&K members to put down their weapons and proclaim what they want to do with their lives. Negative number 4 attempts to order his group around, only for negative number 2 to joke about his cowardice and goatee, to which everyone laughs at except the real number 2, who doesn't find the joke funny. Negative number 4 is determined to prove his bravery, declaring to Wally that he'll take over his world for himself. He then jumps into the real world to conquer it. As the K&D and their counterparts make amends, negative number 1 questions Wally on why he let his opposite self into the real world. Wally sinisterly responds he has a feeling negative number 4 won't like it there. Negative number 4 reaches to the other side, gloating how he'll take over everything, only for Easel to literally kick him out of the world. And then negative number 4 is captured and then sent to the broccoli mines. The K&D then claim to make their world a better place, along with the LTDFCD. Then the kids next door leave the other world and return home, with negative number 86 ordering the pool to be drained, closing the portal, and leaving to change their world. Pool of Codename Kids Next Door. It was a pretty wild episode, I should say. They tackled that there's other universes or multiverses within their world by small things such as a swimming pool. But yeah, there's gonna be like a few clips here and there if I didn't already do that. The next video should be coming up soon. Stay tuned for that, and peace.
Now this is what I call a pool party. Buried in the sand. yeah. Buried in the sand, yeah. Buried in the sand. They unite in the sand. Where did they all go?